Welcome back to Space to Lead, the podcast where grassroots leadership takes centre stage. Leadership gets to be unshakable, and real people make real change. I'm Gemma Rose Peacock, and this is the Unshakable Leader 100 series, for the ones redefining leadership every day in their work, with their family, and their communities. Today, I'm joined by Cory Ratahi, creator of the True Queenstown podcast, the man behind @Arrowtown Dad on TikTok, and a true Tahuna legend. Cory is known for his humour, honesty, and the way he opens up real conversations about identity, belonging, and life in this place we all call home. In this corridor, Cory and I go back and forth on how stepping into leadership has come not by choice, but by necessity, and always in service of the community. We talk about being Tangata Tiriti, reclaiming cultures, and the ongoing process of reconnecting to who he is. Cory shares how honouring his māmā through his Te Ao Māori journey has shaped the way he leads, grounded in responsibility, care, and showing up for others in the everyday, not for recognition, but because the community needs it. This is a grounded, honest conversation about leadership that grows from responsibility, identity, and love for the community. Let's get into it with Unshakable Leader number 7, Cory Ratahi.
Well, no mai, Cory. Welcome to the Space to Lead podcast.
Kia ora.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, and, for the listeners, I'll just explain things have maybe looked a bit different. So we're here at the workshop on Glenda Drive at their new podcast studio. So shout out to the boys there. And this format's going to be a little bit different than usual in that we're going co-host style, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is going to be the first episode where we're co-hosting, going free-flowing back and forth on lots of topics from leadership to Tangata Tiriti to culture, belonging. Wherever we go is where we go.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, kia ora. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, ko Cory ahau, no Ngāti Porou, taku māmā, no Ngāti Awa, taku pāpā, tahi atu peka o taku tātai whakapapa, no Ngāti Whātua, no taitanga māhaki, no rongo whakātoa, no hoki. No reira e mihi atu ki a koutou. I'm Ngāti Porou, tribal affiliation, and Ngāti Awa on my dad's side. But I also have some other connections, some other important iwi connections to the Gisborne area through Te Aotanga Māhaki and Rongo Whakata, and to the Kaipara Harbour up near Auckland with Ngāti Whātua as well. So, but pretty much born and raised in Ngāti Porou, so that's my tribal affiliation that I guess elevate above the others.
Yeah, right. And how we met was here in Tahuna, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So at what point did you come down here?
I came down here about, probably about 10 years ago. Yeah, about 10 years ago we moved down. We were living in the Bay of Plenty at Mount Maunganui. So, yeah, and my children live in Christchurch, so it was really important for me to be closer to my children. It was costing too much to keep travelling down. So, we made the choice to come and live in this beautiful part of New Zealand.
Stunning.
I previously lived here in around 2000, 99, 2000. Loved it, never wanted to leave. So eventually I got an opportunity to come back, and that's how we ended up back here. Yeah.
Nice. And so since we're doing co-host style, I better introduce myself.
Great.
Yeah. I just realised that. I was like, I've never done that before on my episodes. So, ko tirana te whenua tipu. So I grew up in Scotland, as you can probably hear. I've got Celtic ancestry, so no Keriti, no Airana, no Wira, what else? No Cornish, whatever the
Cornish
is for Cornish, I don't know. What else? No, Kotirana, obviously. A little bit of English in there too. So that's where my ancestry comes from. And I live here in puna tapu popsicle.
Yeah, great.
Ko Gemma o speak-up toku ingoa, and he Tangata Tiriti ahau.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. So on that subject,
Yeah.
people might be wondering, they've heard Tangata Tiriti a lot recently,
Yeah.
rightly so. Shall we have a bit of a yarn about what that
Yeah.
even means?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So I'll kick it off. So for me, being a newcomer, settled newcomer, I guess, over the last 6 years, I came to Aotearoa almost 7 years ago, actually. I saw it as both a privilege to be welcomed here and to be allowed to, kind of call this another home for me.
Yeah.
In that I've settled here, but also there's that responsibility of upholding Te Tiriti, so this treaty, being a person of the treaty, and being a partner and advocating and helping others those who are marginalized, who face marginalization. When stuff like that happens, I'm like, right, come on,
Yeah.
let's. And I think it comes from a place of grief as well, because that's obviously happened through disconnection in my own culture, not knowing necessarily the origins. I didn't even know our Cornish ancestry until 2 years ago. My dad lives 5 minutes from our ancestors who are buried there, so it's all these new information and new ways of doing things, that new cultural connection that's kind of, I've noticed that loss having grown up without it.
Yep.
And so where I come from is wanting to help any other Indigenous community to retain that.
Yep.
So we do what we need to do.
Great. And you've been such a important support person for the whole community, really. Not just Tangata Tiriti peoples, but also the local Māori community as well. So, yeah, we thank you for your contribution.
Oh, you don't need it.
Yeah,
But I'll take it. Yeah. So what have you seen in our community, or not just our community, what have you seen that's really surprised you when someone's been in action of being Tangata Tiriti?
Yeah.
And with the whole idea of how we can inspire others to take that responsibility on more.
Well, I'll tell you what surprised me in the first instance is people recognising themselves as Tangata Tiriti. That wasn't common when I grew up. When I grew up, you were Māori, or actually you were half caste, or you were non-Māori. That's sort of Pākehā, if you like. My childhood, we referred to everyone as Pākehā if they weren't Māori, and that's not a derogatory statement. We didn't really, I didn't grow up with the treaty at the forefront of my thinking. To be fair, I was quite heavily colonised as a young kid, so I was quite happy to not embrace my Māori side. I wanted to sort of go to the shops and play spacies and do all the fun things, go to the beach. I didn't really want to engage with my culture that much. So me being a very vocal, outspoken supporter of my culture now, I'm not going to say that's a recent thing, but sort of my understanding of how everything works is more of a recent thing. Mm-hmm. Like I always identified as a Māori person.
Yeah.
I just didn't really know what that meant, and how I fitted in. So, so when it comes to this concept of Tangata Tiriti, it's quite a new phenomenon to me, I suppose. It's something new, and really it's come to the forefront since I've lived down here in Tāhuna. So, it really made me open my mind towards this concept that this journey that we are on within our culture, within Māori culture, it doesn't have to be a journey that we go through alone as Māori. Exactly. This, now I understand, this whole concept of Tangata Tiriti means that there are people who are non-Māori who are willing to support the cause, who are willing to sort of to recognise what this thing, te tiriti or waitangi, is. So yeah, it's, to answer the question simply, it's a fairly new concept to me. I love it. I love the fact that people identify themselves as Tangata Tiriti. During my time as teaching Te Reo Māori, I do make efforts to put forth this concept of Tangata Tiriti in order for people to recognise themselves as Tangata Tiriti if they don't know where their ancestry comes from. So, common problem in New Zealand, multi-generational New Zealanders who are non-Māori don't really have a connection to their indigenous place, the place where their ancestry comes from. Yes. So then they're stuck in this bind. Well, what do I call my tribe? Yeah. You know, if you've gone through this whole pepeha exercise before. So it's under that I would recommend they consider themselves to be Tangata Tiriti, you know, as a person who sort of exists under this tribal connection within New Zealand called the people of the treaty. Yeah, so,
exactly. It offers that sense of belonging as well. Yeah. And if I look at my kind of journey, if you look at it like that, of how I got to, I guess, this point is, like I mentioned before, that disconnect from my own origins, like always feeling belonging of the land over in Scotland, Ireland, Wales, wherever I am over there, I do feel that sense of belonging. But it's that, how can we, and I say this term re-indigenize, it's a bit of a buzzword, you know, but how we can all take responsibility for actually like discovering more about ourselves, you know, can actually help us when we are living in another country to not appropriate and actually be strong in who we are, because we know, you know, we can go back and visit, or we can find out more information. You know, the web's tech's crazy now, so we can find out things easily.
And this is one of the things that I've noticed. So, as you know, I teach, or I used to teach Te Reo Māori within the local region. Through that journey, there is a lot of interest from people who are new migrants or immigrants to New Zealand, and they immediately say, well, you know, I read this stuff on Wikipedia about New Zealand. There's a Indigenous peoples here called Māori, so I want to learn a little bit about them. Yeah, so, and I love the fact that new immigrants and migrants, in general terms, they have an interest in learning what this is and trying to do good by the local Indigenous community or the local Māori community. Yeah. I love that. So I, as a teacher of Te Reo Māori, I usually interface with a lot of these people in the very early stages of their journey of learning. So I like to take the opportunity to sort of put forth some stuff for them to learn.
Yeah, excellent.
But more importantly, I try not to make it an intimidating space. Yeah. Because our culture can be very intimidating for people who have never engaged with it before, right? Yeah. So for me, it was really important to make it a safe space, make it a place where, you know, if you say things, they don't necessarily need to always be offensive. You know, like, don't worry about saying offensive things, especially if you're ignorant, if you don't know any better. So, and through that, I met some fantastic people. Met a lot of people who carried on the journey of learning the language, of supporting the culture more and more. But everyone else, even if they never engaged much after that, at least they got a peek into what it is that our culture is.
Yeah, at an early stage.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah. So
and often I hear people saying, "Oh, but I'm worried if I say this or do that," and you know, my message really there is to say I have made heaps of mistakes.
Absolutely. Me too.
Oh my goodness. With making assumptions or just, you know, whatever it's been. But as long as that's then known and, you know, you correct, people are very forgiving, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's important to allow people to make mistakes.
Yeah, I agree.
In order for them to get better or to understand, you know, without coming down on them too harshly, just to correct people about behaviour, but without scolding them about it. Because, you know, I think back to my childhood, and one thing that I didn't like was being scolded about something I never knew.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me. It's like, why am I getting yelled at for something I never knew? Mm-hmm. And, you know, that lesson is important when I'm dealing with other people who are also ignorant of a situation. Like, I wouldn't dare scold them if they never knew. Mm-hmm. Like, this is an opportunity to correct it or to inform people, you know. So I find that approach works really, really well. And it's important for me to nurture people's desire to come and help. Mm-hmm. And by correcting people in a nice way, it makes it easier for them to stay on board with the, you know, with the kaupapa, so to speak.
Yeah.
So safe space. That's what we try to offer. You know, it's what we want to offer, especially these days, to people who are tangata tiriti. You know, whether you are a multi-generational New Zealander or whether you're a new immigrant, you know, it's the key is, from my point of view, to find more people to help support a cultural kaupapa within New Zealand.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So shall we talk a bit about how you've got to where you are teaching the reo and how you... and share what you feel comfortable sharing about how you have gone on your journey from being what you said was a colonised little boy to where you are now.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I'll try and make it brief. So when I was young, you know, I was brought up in a very Māori cultural environment. So around the marae, constantly going to tangi, always going to hui. So, you know, that was a very important part of my childhood. It was a regular part of my childhood. If there was one part of it that I never really grabbed, and this was the same for all of our generation, it was the ability to speak our language. So we were still performing. Well, we would go to areas where formalities were being performed, and as young people, we were part of it, and we did what we had to. We knew the rules. We knew what we're not allowed to do, etc. So I was brought up in a very cultural space, cultural Māori space. But I didn't really vibe with it. You know, I wanted to go to town and go to the shops, and, you know, it's the last thing I wanted to go and partake in. So very common for all of my generation. We were encouraged to go searching for jobs that would give you money, right? And so it was like, Māori's not going to get you anywhere, so you might as well go and learn, you know, architecture or go and learn electronics or something, or go and get a trade. So we were all encouraged at my generation to not focus on Māori kaupapa and to look for work in big cities doing other stuff. So I was part of that, and I did it to a very high degree. I ended up in a very good IT career, traveling the world, living overseas. However, I always had this thing inside me that told me I was Māori, and, you know, at some point I needed to come back to my culture. I always had that inside me, that I kind of needed it. And it was when I lived in China. I lived in Macau for 2-3 years, and when I was there, I learned the culture, I learned the language, I interacted with locals, because you can't get anywhere. You know, if you go to buy something from a shop, they don't speak English, so you've got to be able to converse at some level of Chinese. Same with taxis. You have to take taxis everywhere, and if you couldn't speak Chinese, taxi driver couldn't take you anywhere. So you learned the rudimentaries of how to communicate, and it was through that that I started really longing for my culture and my language, because I sat there one night and said, I can't believe I've learned how to speak Chinese language and I still can't speak my own language. And that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me. My mum always wanted me to learn Te Reo Māori at some point, and what I would call the perfect storm happened. I had that experience. I came back to New Zealand when my stepdad died. Not long after that, my mum died. And it was through that I kind of put a challenge on myself to say, my mum said she wanted me to learn Te Reo. So I'm like, it's about time you stop procrastinating and actually go and do it. So, and again, perfect storm, I ended up down in Queenstown. Even though I was in Queenstown, and in my head, I'm like, this is not the place I can learn Māori. I'm in the wrong place. I'm like, oh, well, it is what it is. Maybe I'll wait another time. So I met some people who introduced me to a Māori teacher here. I couldn't believe that they did Māori language courses here. Long story short, he opened the door for me, and 6 years later, I learned to be a fluent speaker through all of the classes down here. So the weirdest thing is, Māori boy from the east coast of the North Island, north of Gisborne, and I had to travel to Queenstown, South Island, to learn how to become a fluent speaker. It's just the craziest sort of outcome for me. And from that, I've turned into a completely different person. Learning my language and my culture has completely redefined who I am as a person, changed my personality and characteristics about who I am, and I'm proud about that. So now I have a really good group of friends within a Māori space, yourself included. And now this is the me now. So now I'm encouraged to help other people learn the language as well, which is how I ended up being a teacher of Te Reo.
Yeah. And I know we've had this conversation about leadership and how you don't feel like you connect with being a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get it. But I just want to honour your actual personal leadership there, because that drive to finally do that, to finally reclaim the language, to honour what your mum said, that's that in action.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't realise that we even have leadership, to some degree. So I just wanted to drop that in there.
Thank you. You're quite right. I would not consider myself to be a leader. I'm what you might call a reluctant leader in the community. So there is a gap in ability around cultural ability within the local community. Now, it's not that I have the ability, or not only that I have the ability, is I have the opportunity. So financially, I'm in a good place. Me and my wife are in a good place. My workspace supports a lot of what I do culturally and within the community. So it's not just the fact that I know how to do this work, it's that I have the opportunities through financial freedom and through time in order for me to do that. So I sit here and look at myself and say, you're one of the few people who has the opportunity to help, so maybe you should go and help, So there's plenty of people out there with better capabilities than me in a cultural space, but they just don't have the time opportunity or the financial opportunity to help the community. Yeah. So I'm sitting here going, you have to go and do it. So I put myself into these spaces. Some people call it leadership. I wouldn't really call it that. I call it a duty to the culture, a responsibility to perform things, to do things. If others see that as leadership, that's fine, but it's not the reason why I'm doing it.
It's not your why. Yeah. The duty and the care.
Yeah, it's duty, because the culture did so much to change me into what I would consider to be a better version of myself. So I feel like I need to give back to our culture and do my best to help sustain it or help it grow. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I feel about Indigenous peoples wherever I live or wherever I am. Like I lived in Australia for a while, so learning everything I could about the Aboriginal cultures and the differences of the Aboriginal cultures wherever you go in Australia, you know, and also here. Like I choose to live here, and I'm very privileged to be able to. But that's exactly what I see is my why, is, you know, helping to be a part of that.
Yeah.
While I reclaim parts of my own, you know.
Yeah.
Another journey.
Yeah. And we're all learning along the way, right? So, you know, part of the reason, I'm sure this is a similar story for you, but part of the reason why you step into those spaces is to not only get better at being able to deliver whatever it is you're delivering, but it's to learn as well. You're learning along the way constantly. If there's one characteristic of Te Ao Māori, I'm not even going to call it Te Reo Māori, I'm going to call it Te Ao Māori, the whole Māori world. If there's one characteristic when you're inside it, you are always learning. And when I first came into that space, and I would talk to mātanga reo, so the highest levels of the teachers of our language, and they would say things like, I'm still a student and I'm still learning. And, I'm sitting there going, oh, you have to say that.
Yeah.
You've got to say some inspirational things.
Just pan.
Yeah. But when you listen to their story, and then when you spend some time within that space, a long time, I'm talking years, you understand that's true. It's 100% true. So even though these people are at the highest levels that you can get to in the language, there's always opportunities to learn more.
Yeah.
So, that's the characteristic of my culture that I love. It's an ever evolving. There's always new things to learn. It's never a dull party within Māori culture. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And I loved how you said that there's always something to learn, because when I think about reconnecting to my own cultures, there is so much to learn. And I did it through maybe the New Age spirituality, you know, hippy dippy realm, the stuff that's everywhere on Instagram or wherever you go. And I got into the kind of New Age spirituality a little bit, and I thought, actually, there's something missing here. These are practices done in other cultures, which is beautiful.
Right.
And I really enjoy them, and I enjoy learning, but what's the equivalent in my own? You know, how did we do things? And yes, there's a lot of commonalities among all Indigenous cultures, you know. There's a lot of shared knowledge across the world. But it was really that was filling a need to a degree, you know, doing these practices. But then actually it was filling a bigger need to go back and actually learn the customs and the cultures and the practices of how we do things. And not just in like a spiritual way, but just in like a everyday life. You know, it was... and it was actually one of my very first Reo Māori teachers that dropped a big light bulb for me, lit it up, was because he... I was working in social services at the time,
right,
in quite tricky environments, and was able to learn Reo through my employer a little bit, enough to get by. And then he found it fascinating that I was so keen to learn and everything, and then he dropped a bombshell on me and said, and I think I've told you this before, he said to me, Gemma, it's wonderful that you want to learn our language so much, but do you even know your own?
Yeah, right.
And I was like, ouch. No, I don't. And so it was moments like that where I'm enjoying the culture of where I am, the Indigenous culture of where I am, but it becomes a point where you're like, actually, there's a balance off here, and I need to go and dive into what mine is, you know, because you might enjoy aspects of different cultures, but that's actually a message. You know, it's a message to know, well, you enjoy this part of how they explain it. How's it explained in your own? You know, and it just leads people back. I find it's a very common story.
that is, believe it or not, that story is common even for Māori. So even when Māori open the door for the first time, people who have been disconnected from their culture, their whole lives perhaps, they open the door to learn what you might call a generic version of our language. And it's through that journey where you are encouraged to go looking into your own dialectal ways to say things, find out more about your actual identity and your pepeha that you might be doing now. Is that your pepeha, and how does it actually connect back to you?
Yeah.
So this whole idea that, and part of it is what I've gone through down here, where I really celebrate ngai tahutanga down here because of what they've done for my personal journey. So I try to uplift all things ngai tahu wherever I can, because I'm so thankful for the opportunities I've been given. However, when I go home, then I get the, hey, you need to learn your own waiata from back here. Yeah. It's all good, like 10 waiata from ngai tahu, but do you know our waiata? I'm like, oh God, yeah. So
was that an auntie giving you the jandal?
Yeah. She would give me the metaphoric jandal, and remind me that, I'm also from Ngāti Whātua, and it's important to recognise, all sides of our whakapapa. So, it's sort of, as a Māori person, which is no different to a non-Māori person when they come into that Te Ao Māori space, you are encouraged to go and learn the more correct aspects of your pepeha, to uplift things like your own waiata, your own haka, your own dialect. So even me as a Māori person, I get sort of, I'm not going to say guilt-tripped, but I do get encouraged to sort of, maybe turn a little bit this way sometimes. Don't keep following those tūhoi fellas and how to speak Māori, but they're so good, And so, I have to correct myself and say, hey, maybe I need to turn back more to my Ngāti Porou side. Yeah. So it's,
again, it's a balance.
Yeah, it's a balance, and it's about, it's coming into that Māori world. It can open up new worlds for other people as well. Mm-hmm. When I go through the exercise of explaining what a pepeha is to Māori and how we connect ourselves to landmarks, etc., and why we do that, I have to have a confronting chat with some people to say, because they say, oh, well, I want to use this mountain over here because it's beautiful and I live next to it. And, I encourage people to say, well, I live next to beautiful mountains, but I'm not allowed to just go and pick a random mountain as in my pepeha. I am forced to go back to where I come from. And no matter how, how small or how non-majestic our mountains might be, that is my mountain. I don't get a choice in the matter.
Yeah, so that's where you're from, and that's the landscape, the whenua that's shaped. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not about choosing what I feel is the right mountain. It's what my ancestry chooses for me.
Yeah.
So my encouragement to other people, non-Māori in particular, is to go back into your ancestry and find that place that defines who you are or who your family is. Where that lands you, then use those landmarks within your pepeha. Yeah. Don't just choose kawerau or remarkables because it's beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's and it can be quite a confronting conversation to have with some people, because they readily admit they have no connection to Scotland or England or France, where their ancestry comes from. And I tell stories about people I know who live here, who have very limited connection to where they actually come from in the North Island, but that is still their pepeha.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. I love the lessons that the Māori world opens up for us. Yeah.
And I just want to pick up a bit about what you said about people who view that they don't have a connection back to wherever they come from, let's say Scotland, for example,
Yeah.
because it's easy, yet they have ancestry. So whilst you might not have set foot in the land, whilst you might not know the places necessarily, it's on a this lifetime level, I guess, like you've not been there, but it's within your DNA.
Absolutely.
Your ancestors lived and worked and died there, perhaps.
Absolutely.
Some of them came over, obviously. And it's like you can still be connected. You can still go and find out what you can go by surname, and you can find out where that surname was more dominant.
Yeah.
And you can find out the clan that it was connected
Absolutely.
to. Like we've talked about your Scottish whakapapa.
That's right.
Is it Williams?
Williams, yeah.
Good memory.
Nice.
Yeah, and there must be, or there could be, then it's not a must, a little bit of Welsh in there
Yeah.
at some point, because...
I mean, we have Welsh ancestry in the place that I come from.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any Welsh heritage in my background.
Yeah.
But we have strong English, Irish, and Scottish connection.
Cool.
And I know so thank you for raising this, because as a Māori person, and as a very sort of visible Māori person within the local community, obviously people think that I only know my Māori heritage, which is false. I know a lot about my English heritage. I know the little place in Yorkshire where they come from.
Where?
It's called Hebden Bridge.
Oh.
Yeah, it's close to Bradford. And what I love about English ancestry, I guess you might call it, is churches held on to so much of that genealogy that I was able to trace my ancestors from my great-great-grandfather. His name was Horsfall. His family name was Horsfall. They went back centuries. Like they held on to all of the genealogy going back centuries to that person, or two brothers who were Vikings, but I'm not sure where they came from. Two brothers that were the origination of that surname. Mm-hmm. So, I would encourage people to use a lot of the church records back in the UK if that's where your ancestry comes from. And you'll be amazed at how far you can find your ancestry. I haven't set foot there, but I found enough on the internet.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. And also, scotlandspeople.com is an excellent resource.
Nice. No, I haven't.
You go on and it's just a beautiful system to work.
Right.
Like it's just so easy. And everything's loaded on there, pictures, you name it. So highly recommend that. But also, did you know that Peacock is from Yorkshire?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. We're cousins. Oh, it's so funny.
Maunga from another Maunga.
Yeah, I think Eileen Moore is the Maunga that I ended up finding. Yeah. So, I have, I'm proud of my strong Yorkshire heritage through my great-grandfather. Samuel Taylor Horsfall is his name. So, we Māoris, we are genealogy-based people because tātou whakapapa is important in connecting us to our ancestry. Yeah. So, we go searching on all sides of our ancestry, not just on our Māori side. Yeah.
And how do you think that? What do you think the result is of that? Exploring both sides. Like, how do you feel within yourself having?
It defines me. Yeah, it just defines me as a person.
Yeah.
So, and I think one of the lessons that I always get from being from going through my whakapapa or genealogy is that, 2 centuries ago, some really interesting things happened that coincided in order for me to be alive right now. Yeah. So whether by accident or whether by immense feat of courage, certain outcomes happened. Certain battles were won.
Yeah.
Certain people survived. Certain people did not survive. And through all of those coincidences, I'm here. So it is, when I think about that, and I think about the randomness about what happened 2-3 centuries ago, and how that shaped and formed who I am right now, and my ability to actually be alive in this time and place right now, that's what gives me a sense of pride about all of those people. My grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, the ones that go back 22 generations to Poraurangi. It makes me feel proud that I descend from those people, and I'm the product of the combination of all these weird all these weird coincidences.
I agree, because when I got into ancestry and looking into my heritage during COVID, my 2 cousins who I was in lockdown with in Auckland were like really into it. They've mapped out everything on our Scottish side, and I saw it, and that's what really, kind of jolted me into actually learning who I come from, because you see yourself here, and then you see your wee parents, and then you see them, and then it just goes right up, and you're like, wow, all this stuff happened, and I felt a huge sense of duty and responsibility from that.
Yeah.
From being here now, I felt less insular, or less that it's all about me.
Yeah, that's right.
Less self-important.
Yeah,
it was like, actually, this is about heritage and ownership and leading, because those people led for me to be here.
Yeah.
They made decisions, they made sacrifices.
Yeah.
That led to us having this
conversation right now.
Yeah.
It's through all of these accidental moments, all of these intentional moments. It's just so much to happen in history to allow us to be sitting right here, right now.
Yeah, and what privilege.
Yeah.
So shall we have a think about what we want to leave the listeners with? Is there anything you want, one thing for them to take away from your share today?
So there's a whakataukī, I guess, which kind of, in a way, summarises this conversation. He kākanoa hau, I ruiruia, I rangiatia, e kore au e ngaro. So that's to say, I'm just a seed that was planted in the courtyard of the gods, and I know from that, from being Māori, I will never be lost. So it's an important thing. The Māori culture has taught me that I'm just a small, humble piece of this whole world, but through that connection to the world, I will never be lost, because I know who I am and I know my connection.
Oh, rawe hoa. Is that it? And so where can people find you? Because we didn't even get into Arrowtown Dad and the comedy over there, but let's plug it all.
Yeah, cool. So I have, again, I'm a reluctant social media user. Just my daughter...
Could have fooled me.
Oh, I know. My daughter convinced me many years ago when COVID happened to get onto TikTok. Out of that, I'm just a natural... I'm not natural, but I don't find performing difficult.
Yeah.
So I find performing quite easy. Yeah. And I love the idea of trying to act out situations. Yeah, so
you can tell you're having fun.
I love it. So a few of my videos went viral, and I've got quite a large following, and so I feel a duty to carry on with that social media work. So I still do funny dad jokes, and I do a lot of Māori kaupapa as well. So Arrowtown Dad on TikTok. Follow me.
Video with where you were responding to the Brownlee brothers, that went huge, did it not?
Which one? Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. Because I
love that.
Yeah, I put that on Instagram as well. Yeah. And I got way more on Instagram than I did on TikTok. Yeah.
So it's really good.
Yeah, I like doing creative stuff with media because I'm an IT guy by trade. Mm-hmm. So I actually find doing content keeps me in touch with the technology stuff that I like to use. So, it's sort of like not a side hustle, it's just a side interest, I suppose. So I don't make any money out of it. Well, nothing significant comes out of it. But yeah, so Arrowtown Dad on TikTok, Arrowtown Dad on Instagram. My Instagram is a bit smaller. I don't really do that one that much. I don't have a Facebook because I like to keep my personal Facebook separate from my social media stuff. So, yeah.
And your podcast, The Chew?
Oh, The Chew, yeah. I've got The Chew podcast as well. So,
it's on twice?
Yes, had you on twice now. I've sort of had trouble finding time to carry on with it. So, I haven't done a few for a little while, but I'm looking to get back on the waka again. And I've got some more Kuma stuff that Carmela's asked me to potentially do some more for. So if that might be coming around sometime soon as well. So
excellent.
Yeah, The Chew Queenstown YouTube channel and a podcast. Yeah.
So at Arrowtown Dad and The Chew Queenstown.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks so much for that, Kōrero. It was awesome. And till next time.
Till next time, we'll see you next time. Mihi atu nei ki a koe, o tira ki a koutou katoa.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.